Absolutely. Hi, Pam J.
Hello, Phyllis.
You guys had a marathon last week. There's no way. When I get up at 5 in the morning or 4:30 or whatever it is, sometimes I can't go till 11. That's for sure. I barely make it past 9.
So what's the damage report, Bill?
No damage, nothing. It was I kind of went to it. They had everyone corralled to an area, and then they shut off the street, and then every side street that was off of that, they were all on foot, had a bunch of cops, and you got down to the end of the road, and they had a bunch of cops there, and they circled everyone back, and it was about 900 degrees out, and yeah, it was nothing. It was a big nothing burger, really. It was nice. They all came in after. They were all hot and tired, and a bunch of parents were with the kids. It was an actual protest, so it was nice. But yeah, they had my whole place boarded up. They ran out of wood when they got to me, and then the next morning, the Indian guy, it cost him $4,000 to board up. And he's like, I'm not taking any chances. I'm like, I'll be here. And he said they were going to sit out with guns. That never happened. So yeah, it was a big nothing. It was, I had anxiety, but that was it. You could kind of feel throughout the night that nothing was going to happen.
That's great. Oops, sorry. That's great. Good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah, so everyone's unboarding their buildings and going back to just waiting for these guys to let everyone come in and, open up the stores. I guess the WHO made a big mistake. There shouldn't have been a shutdown. So, yeah, this whole thing was just
a lot of people haven't gotten that message, though.
No. Oh, no.
Oh, no. They're still walking around like a bunch of clowns.
Yeah. I saw a guy yesterday. I go on this hike every day, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and it's hot as hell. Yesterday it was like 90 here. And when you're out on the trail, it's like almost 100. Some guy walked by me, and I had no shirt on, just shorts. And I was dying. And he walked by me. He had his jeans on. He had a shirt on. He had a sweater on. And he had his mask on. And it's just, I had to like double take. I'm like, what are you doing? What? I don't get it. But there he was.
I think he's just so many of them are just trying to fit in with what everybody else is doing, thinking that's the right thing to do. I was in the bank on Friday to cash a check, and they asked for my ID, and I've got mask on. And I'm thinking, well, what good is this ID, you ding-dongs? I'm wearing a mask. What's the point?
Exactly.
Will somebody please use some logical thinking here? God, is there anybody who's, except our group, maybe a few others, using any logical thinking? It's amazing.
Yeah, not much logic going on. Like haircuts. In order to go into a salon, get a haircut, you have to have a mask on. How the heck can they cut your hair with a mask around your ears?
They managed. They worked it. They did it.
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, I think I caught the tail end. Were you guys talking about Thomas and Kim? On the...
A little bit. Yeah, sorry to see this little kerfuffle going on.
Yeah, I started reading it on MeWe, and I gave up after 2 minutes. I couldn't handle the fighting. So I think Kim's let it go, but Thomas hasn't. But we don't know what happened. but I'm sure in a couple days it'll all be over with and we'll be fine. That's
Yep.
my
Yeah, you got to keep things back in a higher vibration. You don't need the fight means lowering your vibration.
Well, yeah, it's pretty serious as far as I'm concerned, and you can't make such statements as he did, and just brush it off and just let everyone forget it. I mean, it really disturbs me. I want to let it settle down, and I'm going to see what he says tomorrow night. But he has no business in his position. Now, both of these people are on Universal Council, you understand, and they represent 8 billion people. You can't make such statements and just call it, oh, well, this is a little tussle. When he accuses her of these things and says that she should be removed as a trustee as well as the ambassador, well, these are extremely serious remarks, and so without proper backing us up, he himself puts himself in a position where it's questionable whether he should be representing anyone on the council. This is not like kids scuffling in the playground. This is people at the highest level of responsibility of this planet. So I take this very seriously, and I'm very sorry to see this. So I would like, let's see what happens tomorrow night, what he says. I hope that this will not open up one attack after another on Kim. She is launching 2 very important programs which will deal with these 37 million clowns, which the Universal Council did not care to eliminate. This is a very important thing, and unfortunately it comes at a very bad time. I hope he'll calm down, and I hope he will rethink what he said or present solid evidence to back up everything he said. And if he can't do that, well, then we'll see. I'll see what I decide to do. But this is very, very important to me, and that's how I take it. And I more or less said so. So that's how I look at it. So fortunately, this is what happened.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. I didn't think about it that way.
yeah, that is.
Yeah. Well, what I'm really concerned about is, well, 2 things. Is there anything that he has on Kim that can justify saying she's worse than the Rothschilds and is slightly better than the Black Sun, that she's gone over to the dark side? Is there anything that he can really justify and bring that out? That's first concern. These 2 have worked together intensely for 4 years, as we know. Is there anything possible that could justify this? And I would very much like to know.
Well, maybe Thursday night he'll talk about it, because he needs to do that. He needs to talk about it. So.
Yeah, and I think Sunday he offered this 2-hour window conversation with Kim. But see, the problem is that there's nothing that Kim did that it came out publicly that could flash this all out. So I'm afraid, well, these are fears, but I'm afraid tomorrow night he will be lashing out at her and so forth, and in all kinds of different ways. And this is something that would be very unfortunate. But if he has something solid, then he needs to present it. And this is not a request of mine. This is a demand. I demand of him that he present evidence he has as a member of the council, and that he present this publicly so that we may know the reasons why he says this.
What would you think about sending him a private message in Facebook or whatever, and telling him that as a member of the council representing all of us, would he please show us why he's making the statements he is?
Well, I wouldn't send it privately because it doesn't need to be, Phyllis. I would put it plain for everyone to see, and always using the correct
Okay.
words. Nothing nasty. This is
Right.
strictly solid, and do that. But I'm kind of inclined to. I mean, I'm kind of venting here. But I'm kind of inclined to let things lie. I did mention that these two people have been under stress that we can only imagine for so long, and everything connected with it. So if this can kind of calm down of its own accord, and he kind of simmers down, and Kim and he get together, and then let this thing go away, I'd rather that it kind of works itself out like that. But if it doesn't, then I'm going to think of what I need to do formally, because either he comes up with some really good stuff, and if she is turned, oh God, don't we need to know? But I think I'd rather let this go until hopefully after Sunday to see what happens.
As the world turns.
Yeah, and as the worm turns. But you know what? You know what? Yeah. We do have to act, and this is a very serious thing, and I'm sorry to see this fighting. I think that this what Kim has been working on, the UNC and the life force. I'm going to be looking at more of that more intensely. But this is Kim's answer to some kind of an enforcement of. She doesn't have any enforcement. That's her problem. She has massive systems for mass destruction, but it's not going to do very good. So hopefully this will answer a lot of things, because as long as the council isn't moving and getting rid of these clowns, then we have to.
All right. So for the first hour here, if anybody has any comments, or if anybody wants to vent or make suggestions, we can do that. On the second hour, we're going to, Bill Willits is going to, as posted, Bill's going to lead us into some very interesting information that I think we'll all be interested in hearing. So again, if anybody has anything they want to comment on or questions, go right ahead, fire away.
Hey, it's Bill. I find it kind of interesting that two people who are working so hard to save the world have so much time to bicker back and forth on a chat forum. What the? How does that work? I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree. I said the same thing today. It all just seems so childish to me and very unlike both of them. So
it kind of makes me think that everything they're doing is a farce, because they have time to do this shit. I mean, what are they doing? If the fate of the world rests on what they do, well, Jesus Christ, what are they doing?
That's a good question. Pam, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a comment. What if they were putting on a show for the clowns that are always reading our chats? Wouldn't that be interesting?
That occurred to me too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go along with what Emil says here in chat. Speculation. Let's please wait and see.
Yes.
Or just to see how we would react.
That too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's true.
Also,
it could definitely bring up some, good questions that we might not have asked, that we might not have asked before, or just kind of things that we could have search our own brains, like, does this make sense? Stuff like that. And for me, I definitely had a moment of questioning it, like, oh wait, is this oh, bullcrap. You know what I mean? Like you have that kind of like, well, you know, two people wouldn't like my dad said, you know, you wouldn't be bickering if you know, you knew that, you know, some like they were saving the world or something like that. But still, you know, from everything I've looked at personally, things certainly seem to feel like they lead into one direction, you know, and that's kind of how my, you know, I constantly, you know, go back and forth with myself. Like, is this real? Is this, does this make sense to me? I don't know about what you guys do, but for me, I just, every day, I'm just like, does this make sense to me? You know, it's like a new day. It's a new thought, way of thinking about something. Does this still make sense to me? And, you know, every day, like it's still, it almost reinforces what I've been thinking about because, you know, the way these things happen. So yeah, that's just a thought for me. Like, are these people really on board? Maybe he's just like, are these people really on board? Will they stick it through the end? You know, even if like there's a problem with the two most important people like on the planet. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
like
you're
we-
right, there are enough things going on. Tina,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I agree with Pam that it could be a show, but personally, I don't think we really should be discussing this too much. You know, it is an issue that, you know, may or may not be between these two people. So that's just my opinion, that I don't think we should really be making speculations or anything on this. But, you know, it does affect us, so I can see that. But I just don't think we should really be talking about that.
I could agree with that too, Tina. I've said before, I've been through all of the controversy and the loss of people over the years, without mentioning any names. You know, I've sat and watched and listened to all of it unravel, and I have to admit, this time it seems a lot more different than in the past, with some of the people that were supposedly exposed and asked to leave or left on their own. You know, I just kept quiet and watched what was going on, and you know, eventually it all went away. You know, and this time it seems to be different. Yeah, it could be a show, but yeah, there's no sense getting into it. It is what it is, and it'll all play out.
I'd like to hear what's going on in people's neighborhoods. Bill was saying that his neighborhood, it turned out to be not as bad as it could have been, and he didn't get any damage, so that was good news. Anybody else?
It's been quiet here in South Orange County, as far as I know.
Yep, I can say that too.
Uh-huh.
Everything's boarded up here in Hollywood. A lot of places boarded up.
Yeah. Pamela, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Napa was pretty quiet. They had 2 demonstrations over the weekend for Black Lives Matter, and they're about 1.5 miles away from me, the downtown area, but I could hear them here where I live. But I haven't heard of any damage or anything like that, violence, so they kept it, under control, which was really good. And I do have a question. I don't know if someone can answer it, but I don't know too much about Tank. Does anybody know about his background or his qualifications or what he's done in life?
Who are you referring to again, please?
Tank, that's working with
Tank.
Yeah.
I think he came from the RV group. And he and Kim hooked up, and he got off and realized there was never going to be an RV, and he hooked up with Kim, and that's I don't know. He's been. Anybody else been following him for a while?
Yeah, I've been following him. Yeah, you're right. He came from an RV. He's got a wide scope all over the world. He really believed in this RV, and ultimately got connected with Kim and began to learn the truth. And he's done a lot of things. He's started before I think he even joined with Kim. He created this Create Change group, and then Lawful America. And really has done a lot of work in moving things forward, which I consider to be very good, and very caring and very loving. So, I like him. I like his work. I like his energy. And he's been, I think, doing this with Kim now for a couple of years. But, he's in constant communication with her before this, and now he's supposed to be working with her every day. So anyway.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. If you check the Speak project, you can look back to some of the recordings and comments and things, and you can get a little background on him that way.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Vicki?
Yeah, in our little town, we've had one of those Black Lives Matters protests. I didn't go anywhere near it. Supposedly it was fairly peaceful, but I just feel like it's really hostile as far as I'm concerned, because they kind of like coerce you and make you feel like if you're not part of that you're a piece of shit, white privilege. And I'm really having a problem with that. As far as, I guess, my own shadow work again is popping up its head, because I don't feel white privilege. I think that we're the majority minority, personally. This is my opinion. And I feel bad about anybody that gets killed or harassed as well. So I don't get that whole thing, whatever. And the other thing is, in our area, we're having good old fires now. Where we got burned out in Ventura last time, it's starting over there right now. And then plus there's one at Castaic. I don't know if that's going to come over the hill and hit our way towards Fillmore and all that farmland. But one of them's contained, and then you know how this heat and with a little bit of wind, how that all goes. That has nothing to do with what's going on, what we're talking about, but it's just power for the course, It's like, it's kind of like, I feel like I have to keep my mouth shut when I'm out, because otherwise I'm going to get pummeled, because I'll pop off and say something, and I just don't trust myself with that. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I can understand that. Okay, Pam J.
Yeah, I was going to mention about Tank. In the video, he was wearing a shirt that said Pure Pharma on it. And as far as I'm concerned, and many THIers, there's nothing pure about pharma. And so that was a big, big red flag about that whole video. And there were other things too, but there's maybe one or two people who can confirm that, but they are not on at the moment. So
yeah, I can confirm it. It said Pure Heart Pharma. Tank has done enormous work with Michelle Walker on exposing corrupt vaccines, corrupt pharma, and that's part of Lawful America, where they are giving parents the means to deny forced vaccinations for their kids. So it may be a little confusing, not sure, but Tank has done a tremendous work with others in stopping big pharma, and the stuff on Lawful America is very, very good to review in this area.
Thank you.
thank you, Demi.
Yep.
All right. There's
Is
that.
Tank still pushing cryptos?
I don't think Tank pushes cryptos. Dan Lutz pushes cryptos. And Dan Lutz is a friend of Tank's. And it's called Kringle Gold. Kris Kringle, like Santa Claus. Can you believe it? Dan Lutz is some kind of a computer whiz, and he and Tank have been friends for some time, and he's in the Philippines, and Tank is, I guess, in New York. It's kind of amazing to me that Dan is doing this, And I think Thomas's criticisms of him are rather, spot on. I don't know much more than that, but anyway, Dan doesn't usually participate in most of the programs that Tank is creating and involved in, but he still is a friend.
No, anytime I think
Thank you.
about thank you. Anytime I think about cryptocurrency, I remember the story of that guy who he was the only one who had the code, and he died, and those people lost billions of dollars because they could not get into the cryptocurrency accounts. How secure? I mean, and the fact that they could probably tax your earnings, you could do all kinds of things, and they could hack your system.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't understand why people don't get that. I guess I do know one guy who made some money, he got in and he got right back out as soon as he made what he wanted to make out of it. Didn't hang in there. So I guess if you want to do it like gambling, then it makes sense.
Sure.
Like anything else. If you gamble, you just go and make yourself a little money, get out. Don't stay.
Yeah.
Don't leave your life savings in there or some crazy thing like that. It makes no sense. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it also, every crypto's got to have a back door. I mean, every single thing has got a back door. And so, it doesn't matter how secure it is. There's always a back door to it, and somebody could get in there and do something with it. So the whole thing is just idiotic. So there it is.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Well, I think some people who are into it so far, they've been at it so long, and maybe they've just been real lucky that they haven't had problems. And so they're true believers, and that's the way it works for them.
Yeah.
And I wish them luck. I really do. But I hate to see something happen like with that guy who died and everybody lost what they put into it. But wouldn't that be a good gambit? Did he have, I don't remember the story. Did he have a closed casket? Did anybody prove that he really died? Or does he own an island and he took everybody's? Has anybody been checking those accounts to see if there have been any drop-offs of the money? I mean, who knows what really happened there?
Imagine such thing.
Hey, I'm being cynical here, but I mean, after all, it's all the fun and games have been happening.
It's not a bad idea, you think about it, yeah.
It's like earthquake insurance, right? You remember that story of the earthquake insurance? You go out, you sell all this earthquake insurance. First major earthquake, you close shop and take a hike, leave the country. Nobody gets paid their insurance.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. But as far as Tank is concerned, as far as I know, he doesn't have idiotic things like this. He gave a long history of himself, and I should try to find that. Normally he doesn't, but he gave a long and detailed history of himself. And if I can find it, I guess we probably want to know more about him because he's going to have a more central role, and that's a good thing. So see if I can find this. It's in some of the videos. I think it was last December. And he really was on for like 40 minutes. It was quite interesting. He said that when he was involved in this one company, they took various tests and they discovered something odd about him. And that is that when he is under enormous stress, his mind works in the same way as when he's under no stress at all. Apparently stuff that's moderate stress, he kind of gets frazzled. Like I get kind of frazzled. But he didn't, and they saw that was something that they found was very valuable. And stuff like this is a really interesting person. So I'll see if I can find that, put it out, because I think we're going to see more of him, and I think people should want to know kind of more about him. So so I'll try to find that.
Okie dokie, that sounds good. I'm sure there'll be inquiring minds. Hi, Willow. I'm glad to see you're still with us. How you doing?
Hi. I finally got 4 hours of sleep this morning, but I came on because I had good news. My son just called me about 10 minutes ago and told me I offered him a job, and that is to film Kimberly's project in Chico. And so I told him, your dad and I will fund you. We'll pay you for a salary, and if you need equipment, we'll buy the equipment. And you're 80 miles away, so you'll need to stay in a motel there, and you could do the interview and create the film. And he said to me, he's in communications, trying to get a degree in communications at San Francisco State University. And he said to me, well, my only concern is that my ability. And I said, I don't think anyone's going to critique you on any job that you do. I'm just asking you to do your best. You're in communication, so you know that you've got to start a story, go through the process, and end the story, and to be as intimate as you can with the people involved. And so he told me that he was going to accept it. And so he's looking into purchasing or some equipment, or connecting to a friend who has a camera, and then he'll edit it, and then we can launch it on the THI California website. So Kimberly's not here. So anyway, I'm wondering if you think it's okay?
What do you think, Jim?
Sure.
Okay.
I was going to mention, I was thinking this week, for anyone that is interested in uploading these videos that you want to create onto our YouTube channel. I've also been kind of dabbling in uploading not only our state solutions call, but I didn't want to ask Michael for help. I was just going to try to do it myself on the library .tv. It's kind of like the alternate to YouTube. A lot of YouTube channels have been canceled, and a lot of their some of these people post things daily, and they've just been dropped by YouTube. So I could name 4 or 5 that I listen to that just moved over to library TV. And unless YouTube straightens their act out, I think they're going to lose a lot of people. So I set that up about a week ago. And again, it's a really nice site, nice platform. If anybody's has that kind of knowledge to be able to upload your videos or our state call, feel free. Just contact me. I'll give you the login information, and we're already on there. I was able to at least get a channel up and running. I just haven't been able to publish anything yet. I'm still trying to figure it out.
How's that spelled, library? It's not the regular library. Is it LBR?
No, it's lbry.tv.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you go there, just put in lbry.tv at New Earth, California, and you'll see our channel is up and ready to roll for whoever wants to upload information.
Let me ask my son. I'm trying to get him to work so that his summer at least he's learning something. And so let me ask him and see. But I think right now, if someone could contact Kimberly and get her okay on this, then I could have my son move forward in trying to create the video on her project. It's such a she's just amazing. She's just amazing, and it's such a warm-hearted endeavor that she's taken on and that she has been successful in. So my son may be able to help with that, Jim. And so right now he's residing in Sacramento, California. And so anyway, if you can let me know about if you can contact Kimberly and see if it's okay that we can move forward with this.
Yeah, sure. She might be on. She usually comes on a little late because
Okay.
she's working all day. But if not, yeah, I'll get a hold of her for you.
Okay. And as far as there was a Black Lives Matter this last weekend down 2 blocks down from where I live, and I kept hearing honking, so I went down there. I walked down there, and sure enough, everyone's holding signs. And I said to them, I said, did you know that in the national database that the number one race that's killed by police brutality are whites? And they just looked at me. Some of them said, well, there's more whites than any other color. And I said, so 1 to 30 is okay? I mean, so anyway, I just dropped that in the ear and just kept walking on, just to give them some thought. Anyway, so that's what went on here. I found, where did I go? Oh, I had to take my car into Napa to get it serviced for my trip. I think it was on Monday, and I found that Michael's in Napa, of course not here. I think we're too poor here in middle class, but Michael's, Home Goods, and there was one other major store was open, and the parking lot was full with people going into the stores. So I guess, and I saw Superclips open too. So it looks like they're slowly opening up their businesses.
That's good.
Are you saying large retailers?
Yep. Home Goods is large. Michael's is large, and it was Marshall's, and Marshall's also was open. This was in Napa on my way back to the Bay Area on Monday.
I think Home Goods is tied to TJ Maxx, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a big chain. But yeah, you were very brave to go out to that group. At least it was a peaceful group, and you could say what you wanted and not have anything, no bricks thrown at you.
Well, I just make a statement and just keep walking on, just to drop that thought in it. And I have had several conversations actually, because I go to the park every day, with people and about the Federal Reserve Bank. And I said, this is what's happening. Is the Federal Reserve Bank lost their banking license? And then I go on, and they sit there and they listen. Most of these people do know about the Rothschilds. And I said, the coronavirus is to cover up the collapse of the Federal Reserve Bank. And what was it? It was Russian collusion, and then it was impeachment, and then it's the coronavirus, and now it's the Antifa. And I said, and so I've had actually, even with young people, like 18-year-olds, I have these conversations, and they're listening. So, I don't make myself a nuisance on anybody, but I just drop that seed in their lap so then they could just think about it. And yesterday, I think I went to pick up some flashlights from a friend, and this 18-year-old was working at a health food store, and my conversation with him lasted for 15 minutes. And he said, thank you for enlightening me. He said, I had no idea. And so it's just, being, I guess, well informed, and then informing them, and not, and I let them know, I said, this can be proven. Look at this on the web, look at this on the web, look at this on the web. And so, that's all I could do, is just try to open up that seed. The people that do know about the Rothschilds, their mouths drop. And I said, look it up, go Rothschild selling land and assets. They just sold a piece of land in Europe for 160 million euro. A piece of land last year of 260 million, a building, 220 million. I said, look it up. What I'm telling you, this is not conspiracy. And so they are listening, and it's just going to take that one at a time. In fact, I was stuck at the train stop going to Napa on Monday, and I rolled down my window, and I'm talking to this African-American man in the car, and I said, did you know? And we're talking for 15 minutes while waiting for the train, and the train never moved, but I did. But, it's just one person at a time. And so anyway, that's what's going on in this end. I do plan on leaving at the end of the week. My dog is almost recovered. And so I realized that the reason why I was asleep, I was reading Dr. Tennant's book last night, and he said that when a doctor touches a patient, that there's an electron exchange, and that doctor literally loses electrons to the patient. And I think that's what's been happening with my dog. She's been waking me up throughout the night for the last 2 weeks because she's been recovering from 2 surgeries. But anyway, I'm hoping to be on the road by the end of the week. It's good to see you all. And
all right, well, I'm glad. Just stay safe out there and keep in touch with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Willow. Okay, Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I wanted to offer my my intro for the YouTube videos. If I'm gonna work on it more, I'm gonna make it look more professional. And then if you guys want to use it for the videos, like in the beginning or at the end, that's totally, great. I don't know if we want to change the name to the New Earth California, or keep it to the People's Club. Just wondering if we wanted to change the name on that.
We can't use the People's Club at the moment, Sean.
Right. Yeah.
Without Thomas's authorization. It's just not ready. It's not ready yet.
Yeah.
But feel free, and if you want to contact me, haven't we already been in contact by way of Messenger? You're on Messenger, right?
Yeah, I'm on Messenger. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I can send you all the information I have as far as login information.
Okay.
Michael J has the. I know you've been in contact with him also. He has all the information to upload. He uploads the state solutions call every week to YouTube, and it'd be great if we could get more information going on both those platforms. I think you'll like Library too. Like I said, I've just been dabbling in it, and it's really nice. It's easy to maneuver. You could probably do it a lot better than I can. Feel free. I'll send you the login information for that also. And I was able to put in our website and establish, like I said, establish a channel for New Earth, California. So if you know how to publish things on there, go for it.
Yeah, no, I can totally do that. We'll maybe one of the first videos, or one of the videos, recent videos, is when I finish the animation, I could just upload it, and we could just do New Earth, California. How about that? We'll just name it New Earth, California, and I'll be in contact with you guys with how it looks, and if you want to change anything. Yeah, it should be good. And also, I want to offer myself to Willow if she wanted help with that film, what was it, like a documentary for Kim? If you needed help, if your son needed help with the final edit or something, I can't really help like a whole lot. I can't help edit the whole thing for him, but I would love to see it and just help to get it looking really good for the public, and just polish it up if I could, just to help with that, because I know it's a lot of work. Making the documentary it's not easy, so I could definitely help with that.
Well, thank you.
That's what I do. So anything with media, I'd love to help out anyway.
Where do you live?
Well, I live in Burbank. California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I can do things remotely. I could definitely do things, remotely, and just if he sends me clips, I could take a look at it and stuff like that. But
would editing a video, would it take days? Would it take weeks? Would it take?
I mean,
it's like a 20-minute. Let's say it's a 20-minute video.
Okay, yeah, a 20-minute. Well, it depends on how much footage he gets. So if he gets a lot of footage, and he just cuts up like an assembly cut of all the footage, and we'll see like we can see what we want to put in there. What's the best information we want to put out? Then we just whittle it down into a nice 20-minute section. We want to keep things trim and make sure everything's concise. So yeah, I can just help with that. Like if he wants to cut it down to see what he wants it to be, then I can help to polish it up.
Okay.
But that's
Thank you.
I can offer.
Well, thank you. I'll let him know. My son has built 3 computers. I don't know what. I don't know the skills that he has. I didn't even know that he built 3 computers till last year. But I'll let him know. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I don't want to take the work from him. I don't want him to just do it for him. I want him to do the work, and I want to see like I want to see if I can just make it better.
Okay.
Because I do have the eye for that.
Okay. Well, he told me that he was going to one way he was going to have his friend film it, and then he would edit it. Mm-hmm. So the idea is, I asked him, I said, well, how much would it cost to purchase a video camera? And he says it could be $800. So I said, well, if it comes to that, your dad and I will split the cost and to get it done. Basically, the way I'm looking at it as his parent is that it's an educational project. And I jump at the chance at any educational project. So anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, it's cameras. I mean, I know a little bit about cameras. You could even do something like this on an iPhone. Like that's how advanced phones are. You could really get a lot, out of just a phone. But yeah, if you want to do it, if you want to make sure the camera is good quality, I'd go for something around that. There's probably a good camera qualities out there for about that much. And I think maybe getting a microphone would be also a good idea. Getting a mic, because mic audio, really getting that audio, because it's on site. You're on location, so you want to get the best audio, and instead of just like the audio from the camera. So mics would make a good thing too. But that's about all I can think of off the top of my head. But that's the best I can offer.
Do you have knowledge about purchasing a video camera?
I don't know the ones on the market right now.
Okay.
Because there's always good ones. There's always good. So I'm fairly confident you can buy a good.
Okay.
A good camera for probably around 800. My just thing is like maybe invest in also mics.
Okay.
I think that might be a good idea. Getting good audio is just as important as getting good video. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you guys. Philip?
Yeah, I wanted to chip in on that also. Yeah, it's good to have other eyes on it to see how the information is coming across when you edit a film, etc. I'd love to be kind of eyes on or helpful any way I could in the process of like sorting through all the footage and helping suggest where to start and stop it, etc. Whatever. I was on a assistant editor on a couple movies that made it onto PBS, etc. So I worked through a lot of that, and I produced a couple documentaries for City College here in San Francisco. I want to suggest that, rather than going for a video camera, you can get really good, footage with the iPad Pros now. And you're holding it up, you can see what you're shooting, right there. And then you can edit it right on the iPad Pro. So, and then you can use it for other things as well. So I would suggest looking at an iPad, the largest iPad Pro. So that would avoid, and I totally agree with the getting a good camera. I mean, the microphone. setup with the windscreen, the furry thing on the wind, and whatever you need to do for that to make sure you've got really good sound. I can clean up sound if he runs into that with some software I've got. And then he also would want to look at, I assume most of this is going to be shot outdoors. And so with the gardening and everything like that. So the daylight, the light coming from one side, daylight can be rather harsh. So you want to get like some folding things there are things that will fold up that would have be a white screen, etc. So it's basically you unfold it, etc., and becomes a reflector for the side of the face that isn't in the sun. Okay, and you get much better picture that way. So so somebody else working the garden can, you know, he can train him to hold it for that, and you know, so it's really pretty simple, but that can also make a huge difference in the lighting, basic lighting, and techniques. Yeah, anything else I could do to offer, you know, be an ear, you know, that would be great. So.
Well, thank you so much, Philip. I'll let him know. I've took the notes down,
Okay.
and I'll give him a call, and I'll let him know as soon as we'll wait until we hear from Kimberly before we move forward. I don't want to assume anything. I put my foot in my mouth too many times. All right.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up before we start? Jim, you're going to have Bill Willett start here at 8?
Yeah, you have a couple hands raised, and then we'll go to Bill.
Oh, there's a new one just as I was talking. Okay, Demi, go ahead.
You have to unmute, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Jim, because, you know, as Thomas and Kim are kind of going this, you know, what she told us last Thursday, where's the distribution centers? How is that affected? Is the trust still going to be procuring food, and how's it going to go through? Is it going to go through the People's Club, or do you know anything about how that's going to be working?
Not at all. I have given it some thought, but because of all that's going on, I think we should just leave that where it stands at the moment. I mean, Kimberly made a good point a couple weeks ago that, you know, we put enough effort into that where if it needs to take place and addressed urgently or immediately, we could put that together pretty quick. I know I can in San Diego, and it sounded to me like you too. You put a lot of work into it up in Los Angeles, so you know the channels are open. If we, from what I've heard, also tonight from people, it seems like things are turning more positive than negative, especially on the food situation and store and restaurant openings. You know, so you know, hopefully we might not have to even go there. So we'll just leave it where it is for the time being. And what was your other concern?
Well, no, basically it's going to be going through the People's Club, and so all those relationships are not the same. And so I just wanted to know generally where you were with that.
I don't really know how at this moment how much has changed. You know, I kind of mentioned it to Phyllis a little bit. I'm just going to come right out and say it. You know, all along, from the beginning, we've in this group have always not challenged anyone on who they listen to. You know, everyone we've said from the beginning, post whatever you want. You can talk about whatever you want. You know, there's no censorship in this group. And we've seemed to get along pretty well throughout the last year and almost a half.
Yeah.
So it's the same. You know, if you guys like to listen to Tank and Dan, go right ahead. They're, from what I see, they're involved just like Thomas is. You know, yeah, there is some problems going on between all of them. Let them work it out. We shouldn't let that affect us.
No,
You
I'm
know?
only considering as far as food procurement and going through where is it going through as far as the actual mechanisms to get to wherever we need it going for. And it doesn't sound like we really know, and at that point, we don't know.
At this point, I don't think we do.
Okay. The other thing is, I was looking for one of the things I was doing in my trip to Blythe, and I'll be posting some videos that think some might be kind of interesting. Was looking for, something outside of California, but something close. Now, is New Earth, California, number one, is that it's not a part of THI, and as far as I know, and number two, do you have to be in California to be a part of this group?
Again, everything changed as far as our participation with THI and the TPC a few weeks ago when Thomas came out on the call and mentioned that. So that's why we made these changes. And it's all up to us now. We don't have any guidelines. There's nothing wrong with adhering to some of Thomas's guidelines, especially the ones concerning cooperative businesses, because as we go forward, we can use all of that information. That's why I was saying, if you think Dan and Tank put out good information, I don't have a problem with that. I don't listen to them. I have a little bit, but I've been with Thomas for so long that for me, it's all about the information. I don't get involved with personalities. I've even said this to Thomas. He knows it. I've said it to him personally. This isn't about personalities for me. It's all about the information, and I haven't seen anyone so far, and I've been through a lot of different groups and a lot of different networks, information networks. I haven't seen anybody that could top the information that Thomas puts out on a weekly basis. So that's why I am with that, and if anybody else has others that they want to listen to, no reason why we can't incorporate that into our group, our state group, such as, let's say, Willow and we listened to Mark Passio. I put a post of his on the page this week, which was great, about, if anyone listened to it, it was about how he dealt with family members. Or I think the topic was how to wake up family members. And we've discussed that over and over and over again in THI, and Mark was the first person I've seen that had a positive experience, and didn't tell people, just stop participating with them. Come on, they're your family, I'm not going to let my kids go. I have two beautiful, very extremely intelligent children that, I'll never give up on them. That's why I'm in San Diego. My daughter lives here. She just graduated online with her master's degree in psychology. These kids they're go-getters, and I didn't teach them that. They do it on their own, So Mark's experience was with his mother, who he tried to wake up. If you get a chance, listen to that video. It's only about 15 minutes. You will crack up at what this guy says, the experience he had with his mother. And finally, now she woke up after 20 years, he tells this story, you'll be on the floor laughing at the things he used to say to his mother and to get her to wake up. Willow can attest to this. So I'm just shooting this out as a suggestion. Anybody that has information like that, feel free to bring it to the group. You know, we're not just about, you know, I think anybody that puts out good information, and Willow will attest, Mark has podcasts like Thomas for years. This guy's been putting podcasts together. You couldn't catch up. If you started from the beginning, it'll take you 5 years to catch up to where he's at today for the podcasts that he's put out since the 90s, you know? And he's just brilliant. It's like Thomas. You know, you can't get this information anywhere else. Go ahead, Phyllis. I'm done.
I'm sorry. I had to stop you. We have got 3 people, but I know, to be fair to everybody, how do you want to do this? Because we talked about at 8 o'clock we were going to have Bill Willits come on to discuss his topic.
Oh, okay.
So I got
Yeah,
3
I'm
more
glad.
people. They'll raise their hands, and I apologize to them. Maybe we can get to you after Bill, if that's okay with everybody. All right. So
Sounds
go ahead,
good.
Jim. Go ahead, Jim. All right. Then Bill Willits,
Yes.
you're on.
I'm here. Okay. This is my debut as a speaker here. So did anybody get a chance to look at the video that I posted?
I did.
Cool.
Good stuff.
I did.
I didn't
Hey.
get it.
I
I'm
got
sorry.
most of it.
I didn't get it. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll deal with you later. So yeah, I just were any of you familiar with the Survival Podcast before I posted that?
No.
I used to be into it, but kind of just put that stuff on the back burner. But I believe it's important, especially today.
Yeah. I started listening way back, almost at the beginning, and I listened for a number of years, and then I got into the more esoteric stuff. But I kind of think it's time to get a little bit back into the real world, and that's what that podcast is all about: how to create change in the real world. And this particular episode was the first one I listened to in a while. And they talked about this guy, what the heck, I forgot his name already. Yeah, what was his name? Jeez. Anyway, the guest, he has this company called Fire On, and he is working out a cooperative way of doing finance and even a cooperative cryptocurrency type thing. And I know nothing really about cryptocurrencies. It's not something that I was ever really interested in, but it seems to be the way the world is going. And despite what Thomas says about them, if it can be made safe, it might work. It might be like a community type currency, only it would be crypto. So that's one of the things they talked about. Also the cooperative business model, a bit of that. So yeah, I don't know. What did you think about it? Anybody who listened to it, what did you pick up out of it, and what do you think we should discuss?
I think what the one guy was referring to, it wasn't necessarily cryptos. What he was talking about, what I found interesting was, a lot of that information we can definitely use as we establish our eco-villages.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what he was getting at, finding some method of exchange for the people who are in those, who live and work in those villages, those communities. I forget what he called it.
Yeah.
But it was not necessarily bartering, but it had to do with just a method of exchange, you know, because there's going to be small businesses, there's going to be all different types of homes that some will be there for workers and others will have to be purchased, you know. So yeah, it's a great, and I really liked his website, you know, and it made me think that we really need to do something with our website, which is another thing maybe Sean and Willow's son can help us with, getting that website up and running. I mean, think about it. This is the battlefield is in the digital realm, is it not? You know, I mean,
yeah, seems to be.
It's the easiest and fastest way to get information out to the people, which they're severely lacking. Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, Xavier Hawk was the guy's name.
Right.
He's apparently, he was some whiz kid. He was a millionaire at 16. He invented some healthcare system that he sold for millions of dollars. And then, so, I mean, he's got money to do these things, to buy land, to set up eco-villages, and to, you know, to really think big. I guess these are the kind of people we need to somehow maybe connect up with and see how we can help them, how they can help us, because you know they have money. They have, and that equals power in this world. So, or the ability to do things. So, yeah, I just thought he had a lot of good ideas, and also Jack's programs that he's been doing this week. One was about getting out of the city. And another one was how the educational system needs to be completely redone. So all of these things are things that, you know, probably we think about also. And there's all these ideas there that we can chew on and implement into our plan for our civilization. You know, we're not the only ones working on a new civilization, and I just think we need to somehow connect with the others and work together.
Yeah, agreed, Bill. It was a great website and real good information. And maybe you want to come on a weekly or biweekly call and give us updates and bring us more information. And at the same time, anybody that wants to go look at it, Bill, why don't you post that in the chat, the name of the website, and if anybody's interested, it's really excellent information.
Okay, yeah, Jack's been doing this since 2008. The information that he has put out, you could actually build an entire civilization on. I mean, he's got so much stuff from the prehistoric to the digital, and there's so much to find there and you know, become educated. And he's a really good teacher. He can talk extemporaneously for hours on a subject and, you know, keep your interest. Unlike myself, but anyway, that's I'll post that for you, and I'll also post the shows on Facebook too, so you can keep up with them.
Okay, and then maybe Kimberly or Jim, maybe you could put them on MeWe for us. Don't forget about little MeWe.
Yeah. Jack also talked about MeWe, how he spent like a year trying to promote MeWe with his group, and it just, he couldn't get it to go anywhere.
Yeah.
People just, wanted to hang out where they were comfortable, which was Facebook.
Well, I got to thinking about that, how Facebook got started. Do you remember Farmville? Do you remember the games, the Farmville game? That's what hooked, it's the games that hook people to PCs, laptops, whatever, and it's the games, that Farmville game, maybe there were other games, that hook people on to getting used to Facebook. They just got on there, and then they got their family getting in there, and I mean, the people were spending hours. And I think when it slowed down was when they were starting to charge people for certain things. I don't remember. That used to be free for part of the game. But anyway, that was the hook, and that's it. Just Facebook. How long's it been around? It's been around a long time. MeWe hasn't been around anywhere near as long. So I think it just takes time to build that social platform. It's just part of what's going on. But maybe MeWe needs to throw out some games too. Maybe they need their version of Farmville. I don't know.
Yeah, I was never a gamer, and I never wanted to go on Facebook. I knew it was a CIA operation from the beginning, but
how did you find that out?
Just, I looked on the internet and I dug deep, and I sort of knew. I mean, they were collecting information. But, everybody was on there, so I got on there, and I can't say I regret it because I've learned so much. I've connected with a lot of people, I probably never would have found Thomas or any of the other groups prior that I was involved with without Facebook. So it's been a real educational process. It's getting a little tedious these days with all the ads and the way they post things is kind of crazy. But, I'll stick around there until I die, I guess.
Well, I got into Facebook when, the family thing, got into it for that. And then, what was it, Cosmic Voice?
Yeah.
Just to join up with that and things like that. So I thought, okay. And then I started getting hacked by someone from Herndon, Virginia. So, and I think we know what's near Herndon, Virginia, right?
Yeah.
So that happened several times, and I finally closed my account. And that was the end of that. So it didn't last very long, but I tell you, just don't know who's out there watching what you're saying.
Yeah, I've never been hacked. I've posted so much stuff that could have gotten me banned, but I never get banned. Maybe nobody sees it. Maybe I'm shadow banned. I don't know. Maybe only a very few people actually see what I post, but whatever. I put it out there. I'm
going to pull this off chat. I think it's Emil that's saying something about, he says, maybe MeWe isn't Langley, unlimited funds, and then he says reptile. Can anybody decode that for me? What's he saying? Emil, explain yourself. I can't figure that one out. Well, anyway. Anybody else want to comment on that particular topic? Jump in.
I think what he's referring to, he was posting all that in reference to this young rich guy that Xavier Hawk, and then he went, and then Dad, whatever, is riffing further. Young and rich means reptile, etc. So all of that, Gates, Elon Musk, all of unlimited funds. So it was all started from the reference to Xavier Hawk that we need to get some rich guys involved.
Gotcha. Yeah. So okay. Yeah, that's true, because just about anybody rich, how are they allowed to get rich? Okay, here's something else he's saying. If they've got money, it came from nefarious places. America's supposed to be the land of opportunity where you can make all this money, but as soon as you do, you're suspect. That's kind of sad in a way. What happens to you, the entrepreneurship and creativity and what have you to be a success and make money, I guess you're kind of, well, kind of a suspect person.
There's opportunities, just no good opportunities.
Yeah, it's a controlled kind of situation. Patents are stolen, you name it.
It's so rigged, yeah. So
okay, so it's the survivalpodcast.com, the survivalpodcast.com. For anybody who doesn't have chat, they can write that down.
Yeah.
Or just hear by phone.
So yeah, I was a little hesitant about this Xavier Hawk guy too. I mean, I kind of felt the same way that maybe he's financed by somebody not so good, but still the information is good. I mean, we can take what he says and adopt it to what we want to do. So yeah, I'll take information from anywhere.
Just use discernment. Just
Yep.
keep your bullshit meter tuned up and work it out. And sometimes you have to take a risk just to see where things are, but I think most of us have been disappointed over and over. So,
in fact, he said that he actually did a presentation in China a number of years ago, basically explaining how to create the society they have right now.
Yeah,
with social credits, and he feels really bad about that.
Yeah, he's the guy behind social credits, and he's, oh man. Well, at least he admitted it. That's a point in his favor.
Yeah.
Maybe because he was afraid somebody would dig that up and then throw everything he's trying to do into question.
So I guess he learned a lesson on that, maybe. But even still, there's a part of that can be used without the nefarious intentions behind it. There's still something there that can be used for good purposes.
Yeah, he gave the information to the wrong people.
Yeah, sure did.
Well, I don't think social credits is something anybody should be doing. It could be too easily misused.
Well,
too easily.
Yeah, he was talking about ratings for government officials, using that as a way to rate government officials, and if they drop in ratings, they get removed immediately, and somebody else goes in.
Instead, they turned it on the people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep, that just shows you, who's really controlling everything. It's definitely not the people.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Bill, or there's a couple of hands raised?
Willa, did you have your hand raised for this topic, or was it from something else?
It was a comment that Demi had about the projects with the food distribution. It's my understanding that Tank has 500 projects ready to go. 500. And this was in January when I was listening to his podcast. And, my thinking is that okay, so this is the way it works, is you pay $100, $50 goes to the attorney fees, and the other $50 goes to an attorney actually creates a trust. The other $50 goes to an FBI check. So anyway, he announced on one of his shows that he has 500 projects ready to roll. So my thinking is that, if the distribution were to happen, that Tank's people may just take that on because he's got so many people. I mean, that's equivalent to about 10 projects per state. So he's got quite a following. Now, I don't publish this on the main media, and this is my personal experience I've had with Tank and Dan. You're hearing it from me, I have the email, and I don't post this because I have these. I just feel like the chat has there's a bulldog in the yard, and then a lot of yippers, and I think that what happened to me in chat last 2 days ago was uncalled for, and so that's why I don't say these things in chat. In January, when I was in the motel, I listened to about 2 to 3 podcasts of Tank a day, because I was healing from my kidney problems and my food poisoning. And so I left THI chat because anyway, that's another story. And I moseyed on over there for 6 weeks. And when he exposed where Kim was, the state, I sent an email on to Dan, and I had Dan's email because I donated some money for them to send out the distribution, to distribute the letters on the vaccines. So I donated, and that's how I got Dan's email. So what happened was, I immediately sent an email to Dan, and Dan said, and I said, you know what? Tank outed Kim, and that's not okay. He was entrusted with this. So the very next day, Tank comes on, and he says, we got an email that we outed Kim, and Kim outed herself several times, is what he says. So then I sent an email to Dan, and I said, I heard their podcast. Tell me what email or tell me what podcast Kim outed herself, because when you out Kim, you out Thomas. I met Thomas, and he does not want to know anyone. He doesn't want anyone to know where he's at, because his life has been threatened so much, so many times. So Dan writes back. That it doesn't, if I were to go to Manila, no one would know who I was because there's so many people. And at that time, we didn't know what Kim looked like, and but we know how Thomas looks like. And he says, Thomas outed himself by letting his listeners know that he's with Kim. And Kim is in he described the facility. So I then sent an email back to him, and I said, you're lying. Kim has never outed herself. You're making excuses, and I'm leaving lawful America and you and Tank. So I left. I hadn't listened to him after that. Now, my reservations with Tank, and this is just my own personal view, is that the principles he has and the fact that he made an excuse. And I specifically told Dan, remove the last 4 minutes where he informed, because this was at 10 o'clock at night, and it was not many people were on his video. Remove the last 4 minutes where you tell people where Kim lives. And he chose not to do so. And Tank chose not to do so. So that, to me, showed me the principle that he has. And the fact that he said, well, it's Thomas' fault because he outed himself with Kim. That's the problem I have with Tank and Dan, is that this was entrusted. I'm sure that this was entrusted by Kim to Tank, and Tank told Dan, and then Tank told everyone else. And this is the second time he outed her, because I did hear another video, but I didn't listen to him at that time. So anyway, I don't hold Tank or Dan in high regard. I think that when Thomas had given us the New Christmas Eve podcast, or I think it was the summer solstice or the winter solstice, and he talked about the Santa Claus and all of that, and then podcast says, well, I don't care what Thomas says. I have fun with Santa Claus. I'm going to continue with my rituals. And it's like a man walking in principle that is helping to lead the country. This is the problem that I have. That to walk in and strive, and I'm telling you, we slip. Everyone slips. To walk in ethics, morals, and principles to the best of your ability and not make excuses for yourself. And I'm sorry that I come across being hard-assed with this, but as far as I'm concerned, with all the biography I've had in the last 60 years in the spiritual arts, is that the ethics, morals, and principles are the language of everyone's soul. And what they believe, what that encompasses these ethics, morals, and principles, and how they walk in the world with them. So I just wanted to, and this is only for here. This is not something I'm going to go on chat, because I keep getting my fucking self in trouble every time I go on that chat. And then with all the yippers falling behind, and my intention is not to cause trouble. But this last time, just I didn't even know that Lee posted. Everyone just stopped, because I was writing out my own thing, and then he yelled at me basically, and told me, Willow, you're causing, and then all these yippers went on the emojis. And so I'm pretty much done with that chat. I'll just post something and leave. I don't want to read anymore. It's just unbelievable. And I really understand, seeing this whole thing with Kim and Thomas is how cancerous it can be, because you've got all these realities coming in, and for criticism and judgment or acceptance and love. And what I've come to understand is that we are going to see everything on this planet through the lens of the consciousness of our soul and our mental emotional intelligence in trying to understand each other, instead of pointing the fucking finger at people. Excuse me for my language. Anyway, that's my story with Dan and Tank. And I do have that email. I kept it because in case I can write off the money that I sent them. But to me, they had proven to me that they made excuses for what I presented. Anyway, I'm a little nervous talking about this, because I don't like to slash anyone's character. I know too much what it's like, and I'll be launching my own document, and I'm sure I'm going to get daggers from every angle. I know what that's like. When I met Thomas in September 2017, when I was coming back from New York, and he asked to meet me, he couldn't relax. He had to be very aware of his surroundings, because he's been hurt too many times. And it just pisses me off that Tank and just understand that the safety of not only of Thomas but of Kim is for the story on his network, and not understand how serious it is. So that's my say. Okay, I'm going to mute, and I'll listen to you as I finish my exercises for the day.
Okay.
Willow, I remember this, that Tank, something about outing, and I was surprised, and then he just passed it off as, well, she's already outed herself. But I'm curious where she is, but I'm certainly not going to reveal it. And I agree with what you're saying. So we have a situation here I've been following him, and I think some of his work is, a lot of it is brilliant. He's got some great people with him. There is a different kind of tone with him than with Thomas. I don't get the sense of the tightness with Tank as I do with Thomas, the thoroughness as I get with Thomas. And this is kind of significant because now Kim has decided to go forward with Tank, and Dan is coming along with, and others. Does Kim know about this issue with Tank?
Oh, I'm sure she does. My thinking is, these are my thoughts, is that in the same way Thomas welcomed the help from Alan and Shane and Randy, given on the level they can help, I think that's maybe Kim's view as well. I mean, let's face it, THI all across America, we don't have ourselves together. Let's face it. Tank does. He's got his foundation of people, okay? So I do understand on a business level on what she needs to get done to take that avenue. I understand that. But I also know that dealing with anyone that has a sliding scales of principles, ethics, and morals will cause problems in the future. I mean, I just had this huge lesson last year with 8 family members. The principles of ethics, morals, and principles to hold tight within the self, the spiritual self, is absolutely, because then you can trust that person unconditionally. You will trust that person. I can't say that I trust Dan. I can't say that I trust Tank. And that's why I posted last night on my post. You know, who on the planet deserves to have the highest clearance? Thomas has proved himself to have the highest clearance with the work that he's done. Would I give that clearance to Tank? No. Would I give it to Dan? No.
Will you give it to Kim?
Kim, yeah, she's it's hers. She's done extraordinary amount of work for humanity, and I'm so incredibly thankful. And that's why I'm very careful of not of trying to address this with understanding, but understanding from her perspective, a business perspective with Tank and Dan. But I would be, if I was going to work with Tank and Dan, I would be very careful as to what I would share with them, period. Simply because they have sliding principles, ethics, and morals.
Well, I kind of leave Dan out of this because he isn't so directly involved from my experience with Tank, but I get the feeling that that Tank has a certain amount of sloppiness in his approach, and I think that when Thomas expressed dissatisfaction with Tank and Dan on Thursday night, before all this happened, that that kind of came out too. That it is concerning to me that how much weight can you put on something? I mean, when you talk about principles, and my father was a structural engineer, and boy, do you learn this. And he impressed upon me over and over and over again is what you can't see that's most important, and that's the foundation. And he would describe, instances where terrible things were done in foundations. The foundation of everything is your character. The foundation of everything is your willingness to tell the truth, even when it's hard, and it's your completeness and thoroughness. That is what makes or breaks. I mean, look at a giant building. That whole weight is supported by what you can't even see, and if that is flawed, that whole thing can go down almost instantly. And it's very, very important. And I cannot agree with you more. You cannot stress it more. This is why what this blow up with Thomas and Kim is so highly important to me and highly disturbing, because this is of the greatest importance, because should Kim's foundation be flawed, we are in a serious situation. So that's why, I'm backing away from this, taking into account these are human beings. They're not gods. They're not machines. They have been under stress like we could not even imagine. So I'm willing to let this settle down. Now, as for going forward with Tank, Dan Lutz is off to the side in my mind. Kim has put an inordinate amount of trust in Tank. The Tank is he is somebody who loves building things. He loves creating things, create change, lawful America, the thing with the vaccines, all of this stuff. He loves doing that. He's really good at it. And by the way, I found this little blurb about, he talks about his own bio. I'm going to post that so that everybody can meet him a little bit more. I think it's very important that the people who carry a great deal of weight, and right now Tank is carrying a great deal of weight with this, both with UNC as well as Life Force. Very, very important. And I'm going to investigate more about Life Forces. This is really a very, very, it's not just for here, it's worldwide. So it's really, really important that I understand this and we see what's going on. And we can all participate in just kind of being the good conscience, the watchdogs, don't worry about this. And this is really doing our job, because this is so important. These people have right now a great deal rests on a very few. So I will post this on Tank. Let's meet him a little, get a kind of a fuller perspective on what he has done. And in terms of other things about his character, I would say he's a very caring, loving man. Do you get that from him, Willow?
Yeah, his intentions, and he tries hard, but he's a man in his 40s, and I'm sorry, I don't give any 40-year-old an excuse to make excuses for themselves. In our 20s and 30s, we experience, we learn, we burn. Our 30s, we're still solidifying our ethics, morals, and principles. In our 40s, it's solidified. And the fact that I brought up, just take off those 4 minutes off of the end, because it's, and I said, Thomas doesn't like that he's being revealed where he lives, and they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. Because I did check after that podcast, I checked the last 4 minutes, and they wouldn't do that. And so it really, this is, I think, one of the things that I think is a slap in the face of Thomas is that they didn't care enough to correct the mistake, because it could have been corrected. There were very few people at 10 o'clock watching the podcast. I just happened to be up at that time in the motel. And so we all make mistakes, but if we can correct it and say, I'm sorry, that takes honor. And those 2 men in my email made an excuse, and on the air made an excuse. And that's the issue I have.
Well, you know what? This seems like something very important, because this is an existential problem, is it not? Because Thomas's existence and Kim's existence depends on their security. So I think it's not a bad idea, without making a huge thing about this at this point, to take a look at this more closely and amongst ourselves. Maybe we could kind of open this up a little bit more, because it is very concerning to me now that Kim is working with Tank. And also remember too that Kim constantly was talking to Tank, constantly giving him information. And and I heard him over and over and over again, and Dan would ask him, can you tell us what Kim says? And he said, no, he'd stop. And so, yeah, I have to look at that aspect of him too. He's very, very careful. This sounds like something that reveals, well, this is disturbing, okay?
I'm not going to tell anyone else because I keep getting in fucking trouble every time I say something. And I've had it with being attacked for my point of view, but other people don't get attacked like I do. And I don't want to be out there and slaughter his character. I'm not about that. I just figure that Kim is doing the best Kim is doing the best she can, and she's made these choices, and so we need to comply with it. I'm hoping that Thomas could continue on with the THI, but the fact that his clearance was taken away, I'm not sure if he can continue with the THI for those of us that don't resonate with Tank. But I don't know. I just a character to me in men and women is so important. It's just, I mean, if I met any of you right here on this chat, and if I knew in my heart you strove for high ethics, morals, and principles, my heart would open up and I would trust you. And so having to deal with this email with Tank, and I think I emailed back and forth 4 times. I just realized, oh man, you know what? You're not worth my time. I don't care what kind of material you have to offer. And so I just, that's where I'm at. And so I just need to get back to myself and try to strengthen myself.
Totally. I am very, very, I am very, very interested and engaged in what's happening right now with Kim and where we are going with this. And and also with Tank, and certainly with what Thomas has said, and I'm not dismissing it, but I am flagging it, saying, if Thomas has some good reasons for these doubts, boy, that's something I need to hear. But I want this thing because, it's, again, the foundation is everything, and you cannot put a weight on a foundation it cannot bear. The whole thing will be lost. That's the key issue here. So we've had a very stormy beginning for this. It's very, very important what Kim is doing, from my understanding of how it's been described, the way she described it. It's very exciting. It has many, many parts. It's not just another used news channel. It's nothing. It's way bigger than that. So it's my view that it's all of our job to keep our eyes and ears open and to watch this and to look at it from different directions and different perspectives as this thing begins to kind of break out of its cocoon and begins to expand. Because you know that the amount of fury that's going to be directed at this thing is going to be what we've already seen. And that's just the nature of our work here. This is a war, and we all know that. So yeah, I definitely I will post this thing about Tank to give me an idea. And I'm not done with this yet, Willow, in my own mind. So, I may just shoot you an email at some point, and privately we could kind of, because I'm not gonna bring this in public any more than when you want to, at all. Period.
I'm not bringing it into public, period. I wouldn't like it if someone slandered me in that way, even though it is a truth. And I actually contacted Thomas when he was outed, and I said, Tank just outed you. And he is not to be trusted. And that your safety, your security is not to be messed with. That's what I sent as soon as that happened, because I met Thomas. I understood the hours that I spent with him, how concerned he was about his safety, and that Tank and Dan could frivolously make excuses just really pissed me off. And that's my that's just my take on it. I'm not going anywhere with this.
Okay.
You know, I keep being targeted on chat.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
you know, you're privileged here to listen to this. Anyway, I'm done with this.
Okay, let's finish up the call. We only have about 10 minutes left to the top of the hour. There's 4 hands raised.
Yeah, Tina's next, Jim.
Let's finish up the call, and then we can go into the after hour.
Okay.
If
All right.
if
Tina
if some
was
choose.
had her hand raised before, and she's had her hand up again. Tina, don't pick your hand back down. Where are you? There you are.
I'm still here. I just put it back down.
Okay.
I just want to say, I have one thing after this, but, you know, whoever Kim works with, you know, what difference does it really make to us? She chooses to work with who she works with, you know, whether we like them or not. Whoever we listen to, we need to use discernment, and there's really nothing we can do about who she works with. Things can all go to hell and we can die tomorrow. Who knows what's going to happen, but we can't really stress about that. It's just going to make things worse. And then I did have a question. Did anybody hear Kim where she said the energy is coming in on the 17th and then the 22nd and then 46 days straight? Yeah. And then she said, and then it's going to be over in July instead of the end of December. What does it's going to be over mean?
Good question.
Good question. I heard that too, Tina. Does anybody have a comment or information on that?
There's a lot of speculation, but it doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, I was just speculating that it's supposed to help raise our vibration. There are a lot of people who aren't going to be comfortable with this, but when it's over, I think it's just this extra boost will be gone, and hopefully it's boosted a whole lot of vibrations on the planet, and maybe that energy can entrain other people. That's my speculation.
Well, I think what she said was the energies would be helping to unlock the places with the banking. So the funds could come through. I don't know if you guys, I feel like I remember her saying something about there, like she said, God willing, like that will help push out the barriers that's been stopping the trust money from going through the banks. I think that's maybe what she means by that. This is over. I think that's kind of what she was referring to.
Yeah, it did sound like a positive outcome.
I don't agree with that. Excuse me, I'll mute.
Go ahead, Kent.
Somebody else has their hands up first. I'm interrupting.
That's okay. Okay, then go ahead, Philip. Then you next, Ken.
Okay, so just before I, let's see. So we were talking about waking other people up earlier, and I just had a story that I, kept because Bill was going to talk, and that was that a lady I know here who's like 75. She's older than I am, and so I've been telling her, risking telling her some stuff, etc. And she says, "Wait a minute. You're saying the same stuff my mother's been saying for all these years." And she keeps, if my mother says that, she hates her mother. She's a big narcissist. Her mother's 95 and she's a mean woman, but she keeps going saying, it's like, "Oh my God, my mother's been saying that forever. Are you telling me this is the truth?" It's like, so I said, well, as far as I can tell, from various sources. So anyway, I'm just laughing. And so she's listening to me more and sorting through stuff. Anyway, so that's been useful. I wanted to show you that your social credit score is already online. So go to mylife.com. I don't think that's not showing up well. Go to mylife.com and put in your name or put in a name of somebody you know. And so this shows up with a friend of mine, Rita, and gives her all the different AKAs, the names that she's gone by. Her work gives her a rating of 4.22 out of 5 on a scale, which is positive, and then gives a summary of her age, her birth, her date, where she lives, previous cities and everything she's lived in, her ethnicity, political affiliation is unknown in this case, that she's as a Christian, she's married, and lists all her family member names, and her approximate, her net worth hovers between 100,000 and 250,000, with a yearly income about 49,000, blah blah blah, etc. And
Let me guess. It's connected to Google.
Yeah, probably. Recent all email addresses she uses, current phone number. It's all right. It's all easy. You don't have to pay to get it extra. And then starts with all her relatives and their scores, and her husband, and who's my best friend in life, and then goes on to neighbors around where you live, and begins to tell you what if their scores are bad, then lists that they've got criminal records and stuff like this. It's amazing, and this is just pops right up. It's really easy. So my score was better than I thought it would be, but given what I look at and what I say, so wanted to share that. The podcast from Mark Passio was really good. The only thing I can remember out of it, I got interrupted, and so I didn't see it all. But the something I really was useful to me was the discussion about how to attune a group together, and giving people a talking stick, so that so you can all pay attention when somebody's talking. It's obvious, and then with the comment really landed with me that this works because with kids, etc., that if they know that they're going to get a chance to talk and everybody's going to listen when they got the chance, then they're it's much easier for them to really listen and tune in, etc. And they're not fighting or whatever and whispering or whatever. So you can start building community and respect, that way. I have to listen to the rest of it later tonight, but because it was really valuable. Let's see. And then I really appreciate the discussion about Tank. I was listening to all that, and I was just my intuition just doesn't resonate truth and trust like it does for Thomas. So I'm willing to okay, and with Kim either. They're both a very different kind of characters. So I'm having questions, but I'm it's okay. So this seems like a good progress, good projects. So I've chipped in some money, but I'm having doubts. So, and I have to totally agree that I learned in life that, put your money where your mouth is, and, step up, and your word is everything. Your integrity is everything. Building that and being thorough, and then cleaning up your messes if you make them. So, anyway, I just appreciate the discussion. So, I think that's it right now. Thanks.
Good. We only going to record.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip.
We're only going to be recording for 4 more minutes there, Jim?
I can leave it on as long as you want, but if anybody, go ahead.
Okay, I apologize for being late. I was reviewing Illuminati 1 and 2, and I got caught up in other things, and my apologies. But it's been really wild. What did I miss that's really important from that happened when I was not here, Jim or Phyllis? What's really important?
Like I said, Ken, let's just finish this call at the top of the hour, and then anyone who wants to stay for the after hour club, feel free.
Okay.
There's some people from the beginning didn't want to discuss the Thomas Kim situation, and I understand that also. So we'll pick up the after hour club at the top of the hour. Does anyone else have their hand raised besides Ken?
Earlier, I think Vicky had her hand up, but it's down. So did you still want to bring up something, Vicky? Now's the time.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, hon.
How you doing, Vicky? Everything okay with you? Yes, no?
So far, so good.
Good. I see you got on Zoom now.
Yep. Been on for a while because, well, anyways, I've been like the last 3 or 4 times. It's cool.
Good. Your internet is probably more stable now for some reason.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay. Phyllis has to leave. So
yeah, Phyllis is Phyllis, the old lady, early riser.
Okay, thanks, Phyllis.
I gotta say good night.
Good night, Phyllis. Good to see you, sweetie.
Good night. Okay.
Anybody that wants to stick around?
Bye, Phyllis.
Good night, Phyllis.
Good night,
Anyone
Phyllis.
that wants to stay around, open discussion. Go ahead, Ken.
Okay. Well, I'm not about the money, about this whole thing. I was about the trust and the safety of the trust. I sent you something, Jim. It may have seemed wild, but I really got hammered on that Kim had. Everybody saw, I'm sure, my comments on the chat at the time, and they were live. I was watching at the same time and commenting at the same time. And I just didn't get a good feeling about the vibration, the frequency. Where's she getting all this time? Not that I felt worried about Kim. I felt worried about the stability of the trust. Not that I'm on THI for the money, but I wanted to make sure that I protected in some way whatever I could do. So I put my full power onto capping that off with a special, you might want to call it Corona, an encirclement. Now, I heard from Thomas after a while. I knew he was watching with the reactions of people, and as far as my considerations of Tank, there was a prior video before where it was the video wasn't quite good. His connection wasn't good enough, or something was happening to where I could see his 3D bodysuit, and from then on I could see what was behind it through his eyes, and I haven't trusted it ever since. So I don't know what's going on there, but I don't trust it. But I'm just sticking with THI, and I hope that I know that the life. It pissed me off. I mean, I didn't go ape or go out of control, but I was really worried about Kim and even Thomas, because he wasn't saying, but I felt him. I remote viewed him and I saw him watching. So after I remote viewed Thomas, I said, well, he's just watching, and he confirmed that later on private chat. But I don't know. Jim, what's your feelings on this? And you've talked to him. What's going on?
No. I explained earlier, Ken, I don't get involved in these things. Intergroup. I'm talking about the main group. I don't get involved in the intergroup drama. Right. Never have. And we've been through it many times. It always works itself out. And the only one that I was ever even semi-involved in is with the Thomas and Chloe situation. I think I mentioned that on a call a while back, that there was a time, it was years ago, where Chloe was trying to kick me out of the group because I got into it kind of like what Willow was explaining. I got into it on a chat or somewhere on the page with one of her girlfriends, and this girl was calling out Pete Santilli, if anyone remembers, who was involved with the that situation up in Oregon with the guy that the farmer that was shot.
Yeah.
The BLM situation up in Oregon.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
Idaho.
well, Pete Santilli was covering that, and strangely enough, I don't think any of us have heard from him ever since. They literally distinguished his channel, and he was pretty verbal. He had his own radio station. He was very verbal for quite some time. Anyway, this gal said something about him, you know, like people say all the time, like they say about Alex Jones. Who knows? He's been co-opted, you know. And I just said something right back to her, you know. I mean, because just a dumb comment that she made. So I just said something back. Next thing I know, she's got into Chloe's ear, and Chloe's trying to kick me out of the group. Well, Thomas put a stop to that immediately and reversed it and kicked Chloe's girlfriend out of the group, you know, because he saw it for what it was, you know. And so anyway, other than that, I just knew enough to not get involved anymore. Let them work it out between themselves, you know. I don't even agree with putting it out on the page.
No,
you know?
I'm not talking about getting involved in the drama between them. Other than I told Thomas that I was sad for what I read about Chloe, and that was about it. And that I was concerned about, worried about the safety. That's all. But I got enough drama around here. I don't want to deal with the drama at all. But I capped off that trust. The people's trust I capped off with another frequency, and it has to be, I felt that it was a thief that was trying to get to bust through Kim's codes, that Kim might have been compromised. And my concern was not about getting money for me or their drama or anything like that. It was to put a cap on the trust and protect it, because I was made aware through a download that there was something was being compromised there. So I guess we're okay. I haven't heard you say anything bad about it, and I haven't been on MeWe too much today. Last night, that was it. But when I came on, Willow was pretty hot about something. And are you still here, Willow?
I'm still here. I'm just exercising.
Oh, okay. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just let everyone know that they're privileged to have heard of what I had said, and so I'm just not going to go. It's not going to go any further.
Good. Okay.
I try to be careful in assassination of someone else's character, because I wouldn't want it done to me. But
No.
this is just fact of what I have. I have the emails to back up what I have to say. And I agree with Tina. We have no say in what Kim chooses to do. We have to respect her choices.
Correct.
I don't understand why she couldn't bridge both Tank and Thomas. You know, why can't he continue his work, because he's serving a wonderful purpose for us, and why can't she bridge over to Tank? one or the other. And it just saddened me that, Kim said on the interview, well, why didn't you ask me? Well, Thomas stated you hadn't spoken to me for 24 days. Obviously the trust is not there. And so why would he think that she would answer him? That's what my thinking was. And she admitted, I left because of this. So anyway, it's a mess. I just try to stay out of it and just try to understand what Thomas is going through. And my concern is, I don't know if anyone gave this thought, but my concern is that now that Kim is selling her home, if Thomas was with her, that means that not only with all the crap that's going on with what he's having to deal with, but he's also got to relocate again.
Exactly. I'm not into the drama thing. I'm into our, like I asked you, are you okay, Willow? I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling something's been compromised, and that my first thing is to protect and to do what I can do, and with my spirit, who I am, and send out that energy to protect. So
I'm good, Ken. I know how to take good care of myself, and it doesn't matter what Kim does, because if it's not something that I can comply with, I will find my own work, and it has to do with the spiritual arts. And so obviously I have an interest in humanity. I'll help where I can.
Right.
But I don't have any investment. I'm just watching all of this unfold. And I try to be respectful, not only of Thomas's space and not have my thoughts in there. People that put their thoughts in there with what they're going through, it just messes up their water. I know when I'm personally attacked, and this has happened quite a bit this year with chat, I just go on a walk until I have dispersed all the energy in me so that I can become neutral. Because for me to hold it is not going to do me any good. And also, whoever threw their dumped on me, barked at me, they're going to have to deal with how they behaved on chat. And so that's not my responsibility. My responsibility for me is to get away and take care of myself. And so I'm okay. I'm just, I think anyone who's in this group, I think that this group, I am so fortunate to be in this group, because I think that the women and men here, I am so thankful that they attempt to walk in honor. And thank you, Philip, for your words. Your words speak of honor, and I thank you for that. And so I'm so fortunate. You guys are so incredibly beautiful. I'm so fortunate to be able to come here and air this and not be attacked, not be attacked. Anyway, I thank you for all of you, for who you are. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this group. You're just so beautiful. I'm so thankful.
I just want to make sure you're okay where your position is. That's my concern. That's what I've been that way all my life. And my concern is, and I got a cap on it, what was mentioned, the producers of their news program, was just they, and I just I'll lock up the trust for the people. I don't want that trust, that's the people's trust, being ripped off. That ain't gonna happen. Bang, I've capped it off, and it ain't gonna happen. That's my concern about everybody's welfare. So I'm glad. Thanks for telling me about Thomas. I'll send some energy out there. Demi, you doing okay?
Well, this is this business with Thomas and attacking Kim just absolutely was horrifying and dreadful for me. I felt like I was being ripped apart inside. The significance of it is, you know, when he's saying that Kim is worse than the Rothschilds and should be removed from the council and is somewhat better than the Black Sun, is turned to the dark side. This just absolutely ripped the hell out of me. And so I have been dealing with this. I was glad I was able to talk about it tonight. Clearly, if there are some issues with Kim, regardless of how horrible it would be, I need to know them. If Kim goes down and Kim turns dark, and that's exactly what he was saying, he said, well, I don't need to draw that picture.
Don't worry, the trust is safe. The trust is safe. It's not going anywhere. The source has protection of the trust. She's not, whether she's been compromised or anybody else, but I was worried about her physical being.
Yeah.
I can talk about it all night long, but basically you're okay. You've got lights, you've got water, you got food.
I got everything. I was out in Blythe. I was out in the desert. I was out all over the place. We've got cool videos you're going to put on. I think you'll enjoy some of them. I hope you enjoy all of them. Weird things out in the desert. It was pretty nice except for one dreadfully hot day. But yeah, it was really great. And just getting out there and clearing out my mind is really nice. So thank you very much, Ken. And thank you for your question.
Pam J., how are you doing, if I may ask?
I'm doing fine, keeping the 45-55 while that kerfuffle was going on, and just kind of standing back and saying, this doesn't really sound like either of them, and so we'll just wait and see. So otherwise, I'm fine.
Good. Okay. Well, that was my concern. Just to let you know that I've got a lot of my energy around there to protect the funds. If we wait and see and find out that it happens to be something that might not have been good for the people's funds to do our eco villages, to see our large dreams shattered, and that's not going to happen. Oh boy, serious on that one. Not serious to start, but I'm on top of that. And anybody got problems with that? Good. Okay, I'm done. Hope anybody else have any other problems with their computers or cell phones, electronic equipment?
Yeah, I put it in chat that I tried to get on the Norton security, et cetera, and then they had they were requiring me to get an app also for I forget the name of it, you know, to second verification or something like that, you know, whatever. And I just got lost in the whole mess trying to figure out how to do that, what app to get, paid or not, reviews and all of this stuff. Is this really necessary?
I don't think you got the right link. If you're having issues and you don't have, well, if you don't have security at all, you're just what kind of computer are you using, Philip? A Mac OS?
A MacBook Pro,
okay.
And with a Virtual Shield VPN.
Okay. Did I don't remember. I've been
stealth mode.
Did I send you a link for 360? Did I send you a link?
No.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll send you a link. Shouldn't have asked for an app. Don't go on LifeLock. Don't give out any information. You just want basic security on it. And I've got some my special free will positive energy goes with this link, so I'll send it to you. Let's see. I'd like to send it to your email. Is your email on the file section in THI or North California on your description of who you are? You know? Can't hear you.
Yeah, not sure whatever, but you can see my name on screen.
Yeah.
So it's Philip with one L, no space between the names, at me.com, me.com.
It's Philip with one L.
Yes,
And what else?
Witkay, Witkay.
Okay,
At me.com.
oh, cool.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'll send you the link. And when you do get the link, if you're running wireless, we may have to download it if it locks up on you or something. Are you running hardwired or wireless?
Wireless.
That's the issue, but we can do that. We get it downloaded. My page is still on New Earth, California. If you need to call me, you got my phone number. I've given it out before. It's 707.
Yes, what?
Yeah, 707-882-1966. And I know I'm over. What?
707-82.
882.
882. Got it. Okay.
1966.
Okay.
And I know I'm over the target. I know I'm doing a good thing because they're attempting to get into they're trying to bust into this 2.4 gigahertz phone a few times. I've got it disconnected now. I don't use a cell phone, but after we get your computer sorted out, and if you need to call me, I'll help you. We may need to shut the wireless off to get it to run its first full scan after it's loaded, and then your wireless, but we can bring it back up again. If you can go to a LAN cable and stay LAN and stay off of wireless from your modem, that's even better, but we'll worry about that later. After you get your computer set and after that's all running clean, there is a spot on Norton where it says you'll have 5 licenses for other devices. And if you have an Android or an iPod or whatever you have, then you send that link to add device from your 360 to that device. You open it up and run it, and that's how you do it. Okay? So
Okay.
what happens.
So I would be better off by using an Ethernet cable to my phone or to my computer?
Yeah, no, wireless.
Wireless.
Wireless is so susceptible to being busted in. I just don't use it. I don't have it.
Okay.
Like I say, even the 2.4 gigahertz, they're one phone call I was on, and it was a Zoom call, and I told you all I had to bail out, was because someone made a mistake, whoever it was close by, mentioned, it's somewhere, said something, didn't mute. Stand by a second. No, I got some turkey pies in the oven. I had to shut off the beep beep. But any wireless signal, very susceptible. So I'm hardwired. I don't even use a router. I just come in I'm coming off my one modem, and that's it. And it's good out here. You got a VPN. So I'll send you that link via email. Anybody else need help? Okay, well, if and when you do get attacked or have problems opening things up, sometimes you won't even know it. But if you don't want to get Norton, you feel better with something else, you got a tap, or you like something else. I'm not pushing Norton. It just works for me. So, okay, I'm done.
Anybody else? Maragita, how are you tonight? She's there, but she's not there. Anybody else have any comments or want to call it a night, folks?
I think I do. I'm ready.
All right, then. So we'll see you tomorrow night for more information.
Tomorrow night. Right.
See what's really going on.
Thursday.
Yeah, we'll pick up tomorrow night, Jim.
I can wait for that.
God help us.
Which man are you talking to, Demi? Be careful what you say.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Okay. Someday I'll tell you about the great God Boo-Wooey, but not tonight. So, anyway. Well, it's nice seeing all of you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
And good night. Let's see you
Good night.
or sooner. Good night. Good night, Bill.
Thank you.
People I can't see. Good night.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Talk to you soon.
Bye.